Again, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Our focus today is we're heading into the end of the quarter for Tesla in Q2, and we wanted to kind of focus this show on what our expectations should be relative to Tesla's earnings. And as you know, there's been a slowdown in general in the whole EV marketplace, but in particular, one of the biggest drivers of that has been what's going on with Hertz. So we wanted to do sort of blend the Hertz Tesla discussion into how it's going to affect, we think, earnings for the quarter. We also are kind of looking at short-term versus long-term if you're trading versus if you're investing in the stock in the process. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters if this is your first time and you'd like better information on investing and trading, please join us on Patreon. So I have to say today is kind of a challenging one for us. What we found is that as we do stories that are positive on Tesla, it tends to grow our numbers. As we do stories that may not be positive, it can be negative. So our numbers of shows have been low relative to the new news on Tesla. As you know, Elon got his money in terms of the $50 billion package was voted on. And when you budget it out, it's like $3 a share. So I guess it's really not that bad for shareholders, especially if they force the stock north after the sale. So congratulations to Elon. Congratulations to shareholders on the increasing stock price and his focus. I have to admit, I really didn't have an opinion on it. In a lot of ways, the company wouldn't exist without Elon's creativity. So you really need to pay the guy. And so I, as I said, don't have a huge opinion there. So the next thing I'd like to review then is what we sort of introduced as our topic. So as you all know, there's this process that rental car companies go through. They purchase a vehicle, let's say from Tesla, and then they rent that vehicle out for a certain number of miles. I guess something in that 25 to 30 miles, which would be what a car experienced over a 2-year period. Once you get to that certain number of miles, they will then sell those vehicles and use the profit on those vehicles as part of the way they make money. So what we had happen between Elon and Hertz was it was 100,000 vehicles that were supposed to be sold, and we don't know what the actual number were, but there's a lot of cars. So what happened is that we ended up in a process where Hertz had these vehicles, they were being rented, but then a challenge started showing up, which is that Elon decided that in order to boost sales, he would begin the process of lowering prices as a way to expand the number of customers that are out there that potentially are able to buy. So now we have this interesting problem, which is Hertz is relying on the resale market as a place to sell vehicles and make a profit after customers have been renting their vehicles. And the challenge that popped up is if Elon is now lowering prices to boost sales, those lowering prices start to affect the market value of the vehicles that have been purchased by Hertz. So the decision was made at Hertz that what they needed to do was to get rid of as many cars as they could rapidly, or all of the EVs that they could, particularly from Hertz or from Tesla, as fast as they could, as a way to lock in a certain amount of profit. But the other challenge that pops up is how are they going to sell these used vehicles into the market if you're seeing new vehicles whose prices have been cut by Elon? So now there's sort of a battle that emerged between the folks at Hertz and the folks at Tesla. So the answer to it is that we had the Model 3s available for $22,000 without any negotiation from the folks with Hertz. And so with those vehicles being sold at that very reasonable price, you're now in a position where they're in competition for customers, as we went through this past quarter. So this leaves an open question, which is, well, where are we right now? And the answer I think I'm coming up with is that Tesla already had 50,000 vehicles that were there. We've already had some layoffs related to the slowing market for all EVs, including Teslas. And so now we have this other problem, which is the inventory overhang from the folks at Hertz selling. So the answer I'm coming up with from all of this is my expectation is that we're going to see a lot of unsold vehicles. We've started from satellites seeing a lot of unsold vehicles by Tesla, and with the slow production in order to get those sold before we can build new ones. So I just think it's a very difficult time for the company, and I'm hopeful that something pops up which turns this all around. But I think until the vehicles at Hertz are fully sold off, we now have this challenge, which is there's a battle between will the customers purchase a cheaper used vehicle from Hertz, or will they buy a new one from Tesla? And the answer to this is that I think both sides will hurt each other a little bit in terms of sales, but I think it's a short-term thing until the inventory has been cleared out versus a permanent thing if this was going to keep happening over time. So as a result, I'd have to say that there are sort of two mind frames in terms of investing and Tesla. In this case, there's trading it, and then there's investing in it. As a trader, I think that there's been a nice gain associated with the Tesla willingness to embrace Elon's pay package, and so that is good. The problem, though, on the other hand, is we have this issue going on right now with how is it going to trade as we go through this period. I believe that the market anticipatory behavior is going to be a decline in sales slash profit is going to affect the stock in the short term, and therefore I think it's a tougher trading environment. Likely that the puts, et cetera, make more money in the short term. And then there's another group of folks that are very long-term oriented investing folks. And if you Google Tesla's stock and look at the chart, you'll notice Vanguard is now the largest holder of Tesla shares, driven by the indices that they control buying shares of the company. So I believe that in the short term, we might see a downdraft to some extent related to the sales of these vehicles and lower sales and revenue numbers from Tesla. But I think if you're a longer term investor, we stabilize and go forward with a little bit more strength is my assessment. At any rate, I definitely appreciate you guys taking time to join us today. Next, we move on to our health tips for the day. Wanted to remind you, it was recommended by one of our doctor folks that you take the time to perhaps try 3 days a week, no meat in the diet. And the reason is because your kidneys just wear out over time. They don't just get older. So giving the kidneys the break on the meat will make a difference in terms of how you feel. I guarantee that, but also have a nice impact on your kidneys in this case. So I wanted to remind you of that. Also want to remind you of the fact that it's highly recommended by numerous docs that you not go to bed within 4 hours of eating, ideally, but at minimum 2 hours to let the food digest before you get in bed, because that prevents acid reflux, in essence, the acid digesting the food from digesting you. So at any rate, I want to thank you again for joining us. We look forward to your comments. We look forward to getting through what I think is going to be a tough period for the company, back into growth mode as we figure out some of these challenges of more charging facilities, etc. We also want to encourage you to share with us topics you think that we should be considering covering. And look forward to my next semi-update coming up as well. At any rate, tschüss, au revoir, lehitro, hoda, hafez, drashich, ni hao ma, kumbawa, heido. And in Jamaica, we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.